So what we need to do here is rewire 480 volt pole lights to 277 volts. The first thing we're going to do is determine how they're powered. For that, we're going to look at the breaker panel. In the breaker panel, we see a bunch of 20 amp 2-pole breakers. This is a good sign. It usually means that the poles are wired in 2-pole configuration rather than a 3-phase configuration, which means it's going to be easy to rewire. Now, if it needs to be, the simplest way to rewire that is to take the second pole off of every breaker and land it on neutral, but this location, they wanted us to do that past the contactors, so we will need to find where the poles are fed from. With this style of contactor panel, if it's not properly labeled, it's going to be very tedious and very cumbersome to search out which contactor things are wired from. But we don't necessarily need to do that. We need to find the conduit that goes out to the pole lights, and there's actually several at the bottom of this panel. So one of the conduits was actually one of the feeds was labeled at one of the poles, so I was able to locate that. Now those are the pole conduits. This is one, this is the other, and then that is the third one. This one also has some other circuits going through it that are branching off before they get to the pole. All of the lighting wiring seems to be wired through this junction block, and I have already grouped the poles together. So this right here is one pole, this right here is the second one, and this right here is the third one. So what we're going to end up having to do is simply take every second circuit that goes to each pole and remove it from the connection block, leaving it still connected to the contactors and the breakers, but we're just going to attach this to neutral. So right now we'll just need to run a whole bunch of neutrals in here and get it ready to be switched over. Now that we have all the neutrals pulled in and ready to go, we're ready for switchover. Also, take note, only use compression connectors when you have plenty of space to work with. Never use these if you're working inside a small J box or wherever you're going to have to pull the wire without having full visibility of it. These connectors are great for making a connection. They're not great for making that connection well insulated. Once the circuits have been switched off, you should still test them with a multimeter and not just a voltage tester. I will be bypassing these poles right now. So circuit 10 is off, 0.8 volt. Circuit 12 is off. Then we have circuit 17 is off. Circuit 19 is off. And then we have circuit 21. Circuit 21, not 15, 0.22 volts is off. And circuit 23 is 0.22 volts is off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take circuits 12, 17, and 23, and I will connect them to neutrals. And before you actually land those open circuits on neutral, do yourself and your mortician a favor and measure the potential between the actual neutral and the circuit you're about to land on it. Make sure there's no potential between the two before you just indiscriminately stuff one into another. Whenever possible, I like to keep my neutrals the same color to avoid the confusion at the other end. So I took the 3 yellows that are going to the west poles, and I took the 2 oranges that are going to the east poles. And the east pole is only using 2 circuits on this one. And I converted those to neutral.